Hi, wonderful people. Today I'm coming to you with such a powerful and great message. This message is going to help you so much. It's going to change everything in you. I mean, everything, everything. I was in meditation, and then the Spirit of God began to drop these ideas and revelation in in my mind. And I decided to share this with you. And this is a powerful revelation, and it's going to help a lot of people, not just Christians, but also people that are in the world, because it's about dreams. And whether you are a Christian, whether you are a Muslim, whoever you are, each and every human being dreams. That's one thing that is very important. Sometimes we Christians, we like to take things to the extreme level, and sometimes we tend to exclude certain things that are meant to help us grow, to help us develop, to help us succeed. And as we exclude those things, then we lose the power to achieve greater things. Like, for example, most Christians, like even some ministers of the gospel, will tell you that the so-called third eye, that is evil to even talk about it, to engage, or to try to open it, and all those things that people try to say. But it's very contradictory, even what they are saying, because when you read the Bible closely, you'll understand that Adam and Eve, actually, they were walking by the third eye. Adam and Eve were walking by the third eye and not their optical or physical eyes. So Adam and Eve were not using their physical eyes in the first place. They were using their spiritual eyes. Everything they were moving, they were doing, or places where they were going to, they were not seeing the things physically. Okay, like if there was a hole, for example, Adam wouldn't see that hole physically, but by his intuition, which is directly connected directly connected and even guided by his spiritual eyes, he will know that there is a hole there. Have you ever seen some Indians where they blindfold their eyes, and then they'll put some odd objects, like those objects were not placed even before they tie or close their eyes, and blindfold them. But the moment they close their eyes and then they put the object in particular places, even without them hearing any sounds or knowing anything, they will still locate that. Why? Because their third or spiritual eyes were then open, and they could, spiritually and physically locate those objects. So in the same way, Adam and Eve were able to move, they were able to move. And people of God, you need to understand that these were ancient operations. So some of the people of this new generation might not understand this operation. Unless these things have been revealed to you, you will not be able to understand. So we have a lot of ministers of the gospel, pastors and preachers, and prophets and evangelists and apostles in the church who do not understand this type of operations, and therefore they criticize anything, because they just know that, okay, this is a worldly or occultic operation, so they just put it aside. But the reason why I'm saying this is because each and every one of us will dream, and we cannot say that dream is satanic. No, it's not satanic. Even though there are dreams, you have nightmares, but does that mean that dreaming is satanic? It's not, even though you have nightmares, because your nightmares are worse than even some horror movies. I'm telling the truth. Your nightmares are worse than any horror movie that they could place, on the TV or in Hollywood. Any movie, your nightmares are worse than that. The reason I'm saying that, because at times our physical body or the mind cannot even grasp everything that we dream, because the mind sometimes that does not relate what we have in the dream with physical elements, because there are elements in the dreams that the minds cannot really interpret those elements in the realm of the dreams, because those elements that do not exist in the physical realm. That is the reason why you might never been out of your country or never out of your city, and you know that your city does not have certain buildings, or certain infrastructures, but in your dream you can see yourself in places that you've never, like physically your city or your country does not even have that, but in the dream you go to those places where you go to places and you see structures, you see infrastructures, you see buildings that are beyond the realities that you experience physically in your country. So dreaming is very important. So we're going to talk about dreaming and dreams. So dreaming is the act of having dreams. So I'm going to share a lot of things with you, but first of all, we need to define dreams, or let's say we need to explain what is dreams. What are dreams? When you say dream, what is a dream? But let me just put it in plural, okay? So what are dreams? So I came up with this, that dreams are imagination, okay, in its completeness. So let's say, for example, when you are in your awake states, for example, and then you are imagining things, for example, that imagination is limited. The reason why it's limited is because even though you are imagining things, but you are still connected to the physicalities. Your mind is still, trying to think things, and try to figure out things physically, So the imagination, you are not fully in your imagination, because were you fully in your imagination, you might be doing things the opposite way. What do I mean by that? For example, if you are holding a glass and you enter your imagination, and then you see yourself maybe in your imagination that you are trying to hold, let's say, a pen, what is going to happen is that your hand will not be able to respond to hold that glass. It won't be able to hold that glass. So therefore, the glass is going to fall physically. Yeah. So when you come to that level, I tell you, many people that have car accidents, the reason why most of them had car accidents is because at that particular time, I say most, so not all of them, okay, but most people at that particular time, their imagination went to places and they were no longer on the roads. Have you ever experienced that you're driving and on the road? You on the road, but you are already talking to your spouse and you are imagining things already, and this is not consciously done. This is unconscious, these are imagination that come to you not deliberately, not because you wanted them to happen, but they come on their own. So sometimes your mind will slip away and go to places, and while you're driving, and that's very dangerous. That's very dangerous. That's why when you are a CEO or you are an entrepreneur or you are a person you're an artist or creative person, you cannot drive on your own. Yeah. So that's why mostly you see celebrities being driven and people think no because 1, 2, 3, but not because of that. Because it's a great risk for them to drive themselves. But if you have a driver, that is his work. He focuses on the road because that's his work, and if you pay your driver good, I don't think that you'll be having a lot of accidents and things like that. But if you don't pay him good, the driver also will try to go into imagination to solve some problem that he's encountering, and that might also cause accident because then he is going to be distracted by imaginations. So I said that dreams are imagination in its completeness. So while you're dreaming, at that time, your imagination has entered a level of completeness. Okay. So when you are dreaming, your imagination is detached completely from the limitations of the mind, and is completely free and fully immersed in the spiritual realm. So your imagination that time is like a bird that sits on a tree or on the branch or on the surface, on the ground, and then suddenly the bird will begin to fly. It will fly and be in the air. So at that time, the bird is no longer attached to anything that is grounded. Okay, let me just put it that way. But imagine if we were to tie a cord to one of the legs of that bird. What will happen is that the bird will begin to fly, but it won't go far. It will only go up to the distance, the length of that cord, and then it won't be able, it will be limited. So in the same way, during your waking state, your imagination is attached to your mind. Okay, so then your imagination is not free like the bird to be able to fly, to freely go into the sky and go wherever it wants to go and experience, and move from one house to another, from one rooftop to the other rooftop. So for that to happen, then your physical body must be put to sleep, because then you are no longer conscious, aware, physically aware of things that are happening around you, of your physical activities, and then you are able to fully operate in the dreamland. Okay, in the dreamland. The dreamland is, is where you are when you dream, the places that you go to, that's the dreamland. Okay, that's the dreamland. Okay, so then you are fully immersed, you are completely free and fully immersed into that realm. So you can be able to operate without limitation. And most often, to some of you that dream a lot, you realize that while you're dreaming, in your dream, you are not even conscious that you are, like, for you, the dream is your life, is your reality. So there is, you are not even aware that this is a dream. For you, this is life, this is reality. It's like, this is physical life, this is physical life. So it is only when you encounter some unpleasant events, that's when most will come back quickly, to the physical body. But then we think that, okay, the dream is the place where we are. We think that this is a reality, particularly when you meet siblings, you meet people, acquaintances, then you really think that this is life, and we enjoy, like, let's say, for example, if you are in New York and your siblings are in Tokyo, and you dream and you see them, you're so excited that you're together. You even forget that this is just a dream. But I don't like to use the word just a dream, because the just a dream actually is more powerful than just physical realities, because actually we should call the physical realities it's just a physical realities. So if you had a problem in the physical world, okay, it's just the problem of the physical reality. It's not the reality, because that can be replaced, that can be changed, it can be transformed. Yeah, you can change your situation, you can change the circumstances, the condition that you're experiencing and going through and encountering in the physical realm. You can do it. Yes, you can do it. Okay, so having said all that and what dreams are, now we need to answer a question, and I'm going to answer that question. And the question that we're going to answer right now is, why should human beings dream? This is very important, because listen carefully. If we do not know the purpose of things, then abuse is inevitable. Okay, I remember it was Dr. Miles Monroe that said that. I don't know if he was the author of that statement, but the first time I heard about that statement was from him. So when you do not know the purpose of things, then abuse is inevitable. So many people will despise and ignore their dreams. Why? Because they do not know the purpose of dreams, And but the moment you know the reason why, okay, the purpose of human beings dreaming, it changes everything, it changes everything. So then you'll be able to know that you yourself, why do you dream? And that will help you to work on your dream. You take your dream as a workshop that you'll be able to enter and do your things and work there, okay? So the question here that I'm going to answer is, why should human beings dream? And this is going to take us, even I'll say, the whole of this teaching session actually. So why should human beings dream? Now we first need to describe, I would say we first need to describe it that in the dreamlands. That's very important. Okay, we need to enter the dreamlands and talk about dreams themselves. Then we'll be able to know and answer why should human beings dream. Okay, so we need to describe the things that we do, the things that we have, the things that we say and encounter in the dreamlands. We need to talk about that. Now, I want to tell you that the things that we do, the things that we have, the things that we say, the things that we encounter are unusual and uncommon things. Or let me put it this way, those things are not common, or they are not commonly known to the physical world. So those things unknown to the physical world, like I explained to you earlier on. Let's say, for example, you have a dream, and in your dream you see a being that has, let's say, 4 legs, but has a head that looks like human being. Now, since you were born to Earth, this Earth has been existing for more than 4,000 years, according to biblical chronology. Okay, so it has been existing more than 4,000 years. And you probably listen to me right now, you less than 120 years old, okay? You younger than that, okay? So you've never heard your ancestors say that, okay, we were living with our neighbors and there were human beings with human heads and with 4 legs. It never existed. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2, in your own existence, you've never seen or never heard during your entire lifetime, if you are 120 years old right now. So within the last 120 years old, you've never heard or seen any being that has the head of a human being and has 4 legs. You have never seen that. Okay, you have never seen that. But however, in your dreams, you see things like that in your dreams. So that which you see in your dream is not common to the physical world. Are you getting my point now? This is very important, because the moment you get this, it will help you to understand the purpose and the reason why human beings dream. This is very important. Okay, so those things are not known to the physical world. Now, for instance, let's talk about let's use I would say a historical event for us to be able to explain this further. Okay, so I'm going to talk about King Solomon. Okay, King Solomon. So for instance, King Solomon had to be made by God the wealthiest human in his dreams. I want you to understand it. So King Solomon, for King Solomon to become wealthy, he had to be made the wealthiest man in his dream by God himself. Okay, now I want you to understand that at the time, during the time of King Solomon, okay, there were many kings and wealthy people on earth. Okay, but none of them would have dared, even to imagine the wealth that was bestowed upon King Solomon. So none of them could dream about that. They could believe that they were rich, wealthy. They could know that they were wealthy. They could even imagine themselves being wealthy and helping people. And some of them in their kingdoms, like when we talk about the king of Lebanon, during that time, they were very rich people that time, but they could only imagine themselves with a certain limited wealth, okay? Because these are just human beings, and they don't even know what is the highest volume of wealth. They didn't know about that. But now, King Solomon had an encounter with another being, which is called God, God. Okay, so King Solomon had an encounter with another being, which is called God. And God, who is the sovereign, Lord, sovereign being, he's the highest authority, okay, in the entire universe and life, he is God. So he knows from the beginning and the end, and he's the wealthiest being actually. So he knows what it means to be wealthy. So only him could give, an image to a human being, for that human being to be called the wealthiest human being that ever lived or that will ever live in the future. Okay, so God told King Solomon that he was going to make him the wealthiest person. And it was easy for him to do that because he understands and he knows and he understands what it means to be the wealthiest, because he himself is the wealthiest being in the entire universe. Okay, so God then bestowed wealth upon Solomon, and this happened in the dream. Not because some people think that when God made Solomon rich, that God did it physically, but that was not so. It was in the dream. So I'm going to read in First Kings chapter 3. I'm going to take it from verse 5. Okay, so First Kings chapter 3 verse 5. So the Bible says that at Gibeon, the Lord appeared to Solomon during the night in a dream. I want you to understand this. So God appeared to him in the night, during the night, in the dream, in a dream. It wasn't physically. Because sometimes people say, no, God made Solomon the wealthiest man, and most even of the preachers, they think that this happened physically, but it was in the dream, not physically. Now, this is revealing something very important to us. Now, and God said, ask for whatever you want me to give you. So how could a human being have such engaging conversation with God? Can you imagine that? Now Solomon answered, you have shown me great kindness. You have shown great kindness to your servant, my father David, because he was faithful to you and righteous and upright in his heart. You have continued this great kindness to him and have given him a son to sit on his throne this very day. Now, O Lord my God, you have made your servant king in place of my father David, but I am only a little child and do not know how to carry out my duties. Your servant is here among the people you have chosen, a great people too numerous to count or number. So give your servants a discerning heart to govern your people and to distinguish between right and wrong. For who is able to govern these great people of yours? So Solomon, he acknowledged that God is the wealthiest, that God is the greatest. This is the first thing that you need to acknowledge. You need to know that God knows everything, that your situation is too small for him, that God can just, move his two fingers, click it, and then things begin to happen. Okay, so you need to understand and you need to know that, okay? And then Solomon prayed that, and then he said, the Lord was pleased that Solomon had asked for this. So God said to him, since you have asked for this and not for long life or wealth for yourself, okay, nor have asked for the death of your enemies, but for discernment in ministering justice. Sometimes people need to understand something. Sometimes when you go to churches and you ask people, bring your prayer requests, they're very fast to write about what they want, about marital issues, about relationship issues. Most of the prayer requests are full of that, That tells you how carnal, physical, fleshly Christians are, and most of them, that's the things that they'll be writing, and then some of them will be writing about their work and the business and job and all these things that they write. All these things are physicalities. They're fleshly and carnal things. I'm not saying that people shouldn't ask for those things, because God said that ask for whatever, so he gives you the freedom. But there is an excellent asking, which is that you can ask, you can have a classic demand, a divine classic demand, and ask God for things, that are beyond, because the Bible says wisdom is a principal thing. So if you have wisdom, you have knowledge, you have understanding, you beat anything out of this planet. So those are things that you should go for. So this boy Solomon did not go for wealth, for long life, All these things are good, or for the death of his enemies. All these things are good, people. I want you to understand. But you need to know the highest way. And then God said that you didn't ask for all these things. He said, I will do what you have asked. I will give you a wise and discerning heart, so that there will never have been anyone like you, nor will there ever be. Now, I want you to understand, Solomon already had a heart. But God said, I will give you a wise and discerning. So, he already had the hearts. But God is saying that he's going to replace and put something new. So, yes, at any age, God can replace your heart. God can fill you with wisdom at any age. God can fill you with understanding, with knowledge. He can anoint you. God can do anything in your life. He is God. He can do it. So, most people, sometimes they place limitation on themselves when they say, oh, if it was meant to be, it will be. Stop talking like that. That is for kids, in the realm of the spirit, It's for lazy spiritual beings like Christians who don't know anything, and even religious Christians that are always going around saying, no, if it is meant to be, it will be. Some of them, they are still waiting for what is meant to be. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. If it's meant to be, it will be. So if it's like that, why don't you stay in your bedroom, and if your car is meant to be, it will find you in your bedroom? Why do you have to go to your garage and on your car and go out? If it's meant to be, it will be. Then why don't you just sit down and see if things will just happen on their own? No, you have to do something. You have to do something. And the first thing that you need to do is this one thing that we're discussing right now. Dream. Everything begins, it starts from a dream. Everything. You can read the Bible from the book of Genesis to Revelation. Everything, every single thing, people of God, is through dreams. Okay, let's continue because we still have a lot to discuss here. Then God said to him, he said, then verse 13, he said, moreover, I will give you what you have not asked for, both riches and honor, so that in your lifetime you will have no equal among kings. So there will never be any king. You name all these kings, even the presidents. You name them, you put them together, even all of them. None of them can equal even the wealth that was bestowed upon King Solomon. Now, I want us to stop reading there. Now, you need to understand all these things that happen in the dream. All these things happen in the dream. It was not given to Solomon physically. No, it was in a dream. And God never did anything else physically. I want you to understand how powerful dream, that in your dream, some of you are running after money, after job, and after business and opportunities and all this. And listen, if only you will make time for yourself to dream, you will redirect your life. You will transform, the situation that is going on in your life right now. Because remember, this thing, it goes only for a temporary, it's temporary. You understand? This, Paul spoke in the Bible. He said that for a light affliction, which are but for temporary. So the problems that you're going through right now are temporary. You understand? They are just, when we say temporary, it means it's timed. You understand? So up to the level whereby you stand and you refuse to continue in that situation, or you refuse that condition or that circumstance, to continue its course in your life. And then you begin to dream. The moment you dream, then you become like a child. And then you begin to build your life, your future. This is very important. People of God, this is very important. Okay. So, because God is greater and bigger than all, he gave King Solomon the greatest wealth dreams. He gave him the greatest wealth dreams. This is very important. Why? Because God is the greatest. Okay. Now, the thing here, let me put it this way: the golden rule, or if there is a statement or secret that you should mark or write down right now, is that for anything to manifest in your life, yes, so for anything to manifest in your life, it must first be revealed or shown to you. People of God, this is the reason why most African people are going around on diamond, gold, you name all the mineral resources. And with all those things, there are sufferings, living in misery, in poverty that cannot even be imagined, wars, conflicts, and crimes, all those things. And even I'm talking about political crimes, all those things that are going on. The reason why is because they do not understand this order. This is a divine order.